Welcome back to our weekly devotions. I'm Pastor David Schoob at Trinity Lutheran Church in West Bend. Merry Christmas! It's Christmas as we have this devotion today. And we read from the second chapter of Luke's Gospel, verses 15 through 20, the part of the Christmas story we haven't read in the last few weeks, where it says, "When the angels had left them and gone into heaven, the shepherds said to one another, 'Let us go now to Bethlehem and see this thing that has taken place, which the Lord has made known to us.' So they went with haste and found Mary and Joseph and the child lying in the manger. When they saw this, they made known what had been told them about this child, and all who heard it were amazed at what the shepherds told them. But Mary treasured all these words and pondered them in her heart. The shepherds returned, glorifying and praising God for all they had heard and seen, as it had been told them." So it's Christmas Day. What does it mean for you? Do others see how it affects you? We have two different visions of how Christmas is approached in this little piece of the story, and both are I think, an important part of our reaction to the Christmas event. Mary takes time to ponder all these things in her heart. And that's what I guess I've been doing over the last 3 weeks as we have been making the journey toward Christmas. But the shepherds, they run around telling everyone. They meet about what they have discovered. What about you? Maybe you don't need words. Maybe there are other ways to shout for joy in this Christmas season. Howard Thurman, a great black preacher in the middle of the 1900s, wrote this: "When the song of the angels is still, when the star in the sky is gone, when the kings and princes are home, when the shepherds are back with their flock, the work of Christmas begins. To find the lost, to heal the broken, to feed the hungry, to release the prisoner, to rebuild the nations, to bring peace among siblings, to make music in the heart." There's a story called The Christmas Scout in one of the Chicken Soup books, and I'd like you to listen to the story and think about it. In spite of the fun and laughter, 13-year-old Frank Wilson was not happy. It was true that he had received all of the presents he wanted, and he enjoyed these traditional Christmas Eve reunions of relatives this year at Aunt Susan's for the purpose of exchanging gifts and good wishes. But Frank was not happy, because this was his first Christmas without his brother Steve, who during the year had been killed by a reckless driver. Frank missed his brother and the close companionship they had together. Frank said goodbye to his relatives and explained to his parents that he was leaving a little early to see a friend. From there, he could walk home. Since it was cold outside, Frank put on his new plaid jacket. It was his favorite gift. The other presents he placed on his new sled. Then Frank headed out, hoping to find the patrol leader of his Boy Scout troop. Frank always felt understood by him. Though rich in wisdom, he lived in the flats, the section of town where most of the poorer people lived, and his patrol leader did odd jobs to help support his family. To Frank's disappointment, his friend was not at home. As Frank hiked down the street toward home, he caught glimpses of trees and decorations in many of the small houses. Then through one front window, he glimpsed a shabby room with the limp stockings hanging over an empty fireplace. A woman was seated near them, weeping. Stockings reminded him of the way he and his brother had always hung theirs side by side. The next morning, they would be bursting with presents. A sudden thought struck Frank. He had not done his good turn for the day. Before the impulse passed, he knocked on the door. "Yes?" the sad voice of the woman inquired. "May I come in?" "You are very welcome," she said, seeing his sled full of gifts and assuming he was making a collection, "but I have no food or gifts for you. I have nothing for my own children." "That's not why I'm here," Frank replied. "Please choose whatever presents you'd like for your children from this sled. I just want to share my Christmas with you." "Why, God bless you," the amazed woman answered gratefully. She selected some candies, a game, the toy airplane, and a puzzle. When she took the new Scout flashlight, Frank almost cried out. Finally, the stockings were full. "Won't you tell me your name?" she asked as Frank was leaving. "Just call me the Christmas Scout," he replied. The visit left the boy touched and with an unexpected flicker of joy in his heart. He understood that his sorrow was not the only sorrow in the world. Before he left the flats, he had given away the remainder of his gifts. The plaid jacket had gone to a shivering boy. But he trudged homeward, cold and uneasy. Having given his presents away, Frank now could think of no reasonable explanation to offer his parents. He wondered how he could make them understand. "Where are your presents, son?" asked his father as he entered the house. "I gave them away." "The airplane from Aunt Susan, your coat from Grandma, your flashlight. We thought you were happy with your gifts." "I was very happy," the boy answered lamely. "But Frank, how could you be so impulsive?" his mother asked. "How will we explain to the relatives who spent so much time and gave so much love shopping for you?" His father was firm. "You made your choice, Frank. We can't afford any more presents." His brother gone, his family disappointed in him, Frank suddenly felt dreadfully alone. He had not expected a reward for his generosity, for he knew that a good deed always should be its own reward. It would be tarnished otherwise, so he didn't want his gifts back. However, he wondered if he would ever again truly recapture joy in his life. He thought he had this evening, but it had been fleeting. Frank thought of his brother and sobbed himself to sleep. The next morning, he came downstairs to find his parents listening to Christmas music on the radio. Then the announcer spoke. "Merry Christmas, everybody. The nicest Christmas story we have this morning comes from the flats. A crippled boy down there has a new sled this morning. Another youngster has a fine plaid jacket, and several families report that their children were made happy last night by gifts from a teenage boy who simply referred to himself as the Christmas Scout. No one could identify him, but the children of the flats claim that the Christmas Scout was a personal representative of old Santa Claus himself." Frank felt his father's arm go around his shoulders, and he saw his mother smiling through her tears. "Why didn't you tell us? We didn't understand. We're so proud of you, son." The carols came over the air again, filling the room with music. Praises sing to God the King, and peace to all on earth. Am I suggesting that we give our Christmas presents away? Maybe. That's what the shepherds did, running all over, sharing gifts they had found with everyone they met. Think about it. If you listen to the song, "Give This Christmas Away," maybe you'll have a different view on how you can celebrate this Christmas in a different kind of way, a way that shares the beauty and joy of it, not just for the sake of other people, but because in doing so, we find joy and peace, and we connect ourselves to the other children of God who God loves so much. So at the end of this, there'll be a link for the song, and you can go and use that as your prayer, your own meditation for the day. Blessed Christmas to all.